Hi everyone, this video is a little bit different, mainly because it's actually a part that I already produce, which is the crank locking tool. If you've already owned one or you know about it, I designed this so you can do the crank bolts up much easier and undo them because they tend to get a little bit tight. The other aspect of it is when you're doing flywheel bolts, torque converter bolts, anything like that, it just gives you much better leverage using a big breaker bar, and then you'll use the crank sprocket. But I've just found out it's actually got another use. So on the engine rebuild, I've got the seal just about started to go in, but I need to seat it. Now you obviously don't want to seat it on a wonk, so the ideal situation is you grab your locking tool, you place it over, you'll then grab your sprocket with your bolt, depends on what, or you can just drop your bolt. That teaches me for trying to show off my nice gold plated ARP. So you'll put your sprocket on, locate it. You'll then get your bolt in and you'll start to tighten it up. Now you'll grab your ratchet of choice or socket, whatever you decide to use, and you'll slowly just wind it in so it starts to take up the slack. Now what you want to be careful of here and I'll show you in a second, is when it starts to go over the crank, you've obviously got a little lip between the crank and the seal. So what you need to try and do, I know it's not the most ideal tool in the world, but it will work, is when you're setting it up, if you look into the gap where it's going to go, then get your tool on there, then get your bolt. You've aligned everything as best as possible. So as you start to do it up even more, you know that it's going to be in the correct location. And then you just keep tightening up, watching the crank seal, making sure that it's going in line. When you start to feel a little bit of a bind, you can take it off and just check to make sure you're seating everything right. So yeah, there are obviously going to be much better tooling for this, but I figured it actually works quite well. So at the moment we're just a bit shy, so we'll reset the central position if my head gets out of the shot of the phone. So that's re-centralized. I'll tell you what, let's take that bolt out because it loves to jump. I only figured this out because I was looking for something that just sits over the lip of the crank. And then this sprung to me. And I was like, oh yeah, that would actually work quite well. So you keep going, and then as you've bottomed out, you just give it a nice little tug just to make sure it's fully seated. You undo the bolt. And there we have it. A nice fully seated crank seal. flush all the way around, all 360 degrees is equal. So those of you that have the crank locking tool, now you have another use for it.